Welcome back, everyone. The Petroleum and Natural Gas Senior Staff Association, Pengaslan, has confirmed that the Port Harcourt Refinery is processing petrol, diesel oil and kerosene. Pengaslan President Festus Osifo gave this confirmation during a briefing in Abuja on Tuesday, where he said Pengaslan and the National Union of Petroleum and Natural Gas, NUPENG, are part of the steering committee for the rehabilitation of the refinery. Osifo called on the government to privatize the Port Harcourt, Warri and Kaduna refineries using the liquefied natural gas model. He, however, insisted the refineries must first be rehabilitated, as done with the Port Harcourt refinery. Tonight, let's speak with Majid Dahiru, a newspaper columnist and energy security advocate. He joins me from Abuja studio. Good evening to you, Mr. Dahiru. Thank you so much for joining us tonight. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much for having me.
Right. You know, the journey to the revival of this refinery, the Port Harcourt refinery, is littered with missed deadlines and challenges. We had a series of refurbishment deadlines set and missed, hampered by various factors, mostly operational inefficiencies and bureaucratic delays. How do you describe this transformative milestone? Let's start from there.
Okay, well, despite the many missed deadlines for the coming on stream of the Port Harcourt refinery, it has finally come on stream, and it simply tells you that it was all along work in progress. It's an old refinery that has been left redundant for a long time, and so it took a lot of effort, financial and technical, to bring it on stream. So I think the managers of the refinery or the management of the NNPC, the owners of the refinery, we are simply being very optimistic when they were setting those timelines that sometimes they eventually miss. But we are happy and elated, and for those of us that have been at the forefront of advocating for energy security through affordability and self-reliance as an oil-producing country, it is something of pride to us that in our lifetime, a government-owned refinery has finally come on stream, and it is working and it is producing. And we are hoping that other refineries across the country also will come on stream as soon as practicable.
So is this a demonstration of what is possible when strategic planning meets commitment?
Yes. First, the commitment started with the previous administration of President Muhammadu Buhari. And when the current administration of President Asiwaju Ahmed Bola Tinubu came on board, they sustained that commitment. And the Minister of Petroleum Oil, along with the MD, the GMD of the NNPC, and other critical stakeholders, working as one government, made sure that they follow through the vision of the President to resuscitate this refinery and all other refineries, and make Nigeria self-reliant in domestic refined products, so that in the nearest future, Nigeria can become a net exporter of refined products, as should be for one of Africa's largest oil-producing countries. So I think we're on track. This is quite commendable if you know the challenges that was encountered, in the course of trying to sustain this refinery. You would agree with me that it is something to celebrate. It's something to commend all critical stakeholders for that. Finally, the old Port Harcourt refinery that was built in 1965 has come on stream. It is producing and is now adding more sustainability to the availability of petroleum products in Nigeria.
There's been a lot of conversations on social media in the last few days, and experts have hinted further. One notable feature of the refinery operation is its incorporation of blending components, such as crack C5 from Indorama Petrochemicals to produce gasoline. And some critics are alleging that the refinery operates as a blending facility rather than a crude oil processing plant. Others are also worried about whether this meets international specifications. First, your reaction to that. And second, is it correct to say a refinery can also be a blending plant?
Blending is an integral part of refining process in all refineries across the world. Blending is simply part of the process of refining. And there is absolutely nothing wrong in the process of blending. You see, the Port Harcourt refinery, the old Port Harcourt refinery that has just been resuscitated, was built in 1965, and it was modeled along European refineries. Now, while it has a crude distillation unit, CDU, which is basic in all refineries, it does not have incorporated in it a fluid catalytic cracking unit. And that is because, as at the time the refinery was built, there was more demand for primary products like kerosene, diesel, and naphtha. But as the demand for petrol, or what you call PMS in Nigeria, gasoline generally, begins to rise across the world, newer refineries now began to come with fully fitted fluid catalytic cracking units. But for refiners who do not have this facility, they blend naphtha, that is a primary product from the distillation process, with crack C5, which itself has undergone catalytic cracking, to produce petrol. Petrol is never produced through fractional distillation in the CDU. It is a secondary product in a refinery. So you must blend components, and even when you pass it through catalytic cracking unit, you must introduce catalysts and other agents in order to produce PMS. So PMS essentially is produced through blending across all refineries in the world. It is not a primary product through fractional distillation in any refinery. So I think the talk about blending or not blending came about because the promoters of Dangote Refinery alleged at the time that some Nigerian top officials in the oil and gas industry are operating blending plants that are producing off-spec products. And so in the mindset of Nigerians, blending plants and off-spec products became synonymous. And that's not really the case. First, that story has been debunked. I mean, there's no blending plant in Malta that is owned by anybody. For there's no blending plant in Malta at all that is producing anything there. So the products that are blended at the Port Harcourt refinery meet the specification as set by the regulators, the NMDPRA. Otherwise, they would have raised the red flag. So Dangote refinery itself actually blends the right components to produce petrol, as all other refineries in the world want to do. So it is not a problem that anybody should worry about. But I understand the skepticism because there has been, a misinformation around the issue of blending and off-spec products. The products from the refinery in Port Harcourt meet the specification as laid down by the NMDPRA, and that is what is important.
Right. Mr. Dahiru, so you're establishing tonight that this blending practice is standard in the global refining industry.
Yes, it is standard.
Right.
It is part of the refining process.
But is blending naphtha with cracked C5 more cost-effective than using other feedstock or production methods?
No, the only advantage you would have, for example, if the second Port Harcourt refinery comes on stream, where you have a catalytic cracking unit fitted in as a modern refinery, as a more modern refinery, is in the quantity of products, not the quality, and not even the cost. You produce, just about, you produce fewer quantity of PMS through blending than you would have done through catalytic cracking units. And don't forget that the second Port Harcourt refinery has a larger capacity, installed capacity, of about 110,000 barrels per day processing capacity. So that was why it was fitted with a catalytic cracking unit that can process more quantity of PMS. So it's just the quantitative difference that is the issue. It's not the cost of blending, and neither is it the quality. It's more about quantitative.
All right. Because there are those not seeing the concern that the blended petrol might not meet international standards, and you've helped us with clarifications on that, potentially affecting vehicle performance.
Nigeria does not operate. You see, we have to say this record straight. We have our regulators, and there are specifications for the Nigerian market. As long as any product is allowed into the market, it means it must have gone through the necessary test and confirmation that it meets the specification for the Nigerian market according to the regulators. No private participator or player has a right to pronounce another product either inferior or superior. It is the job of the regulator. And as long as the regulators have not flagged the product coming out of the Port Harcourt refinery, it means it has met their specification, the standards for the Nigerian market.
All right, that's cleared. But before we move on to other matters, more concerns have been raised about blending, including environmental impact due to the blending process releasing harmful emissions of pollutants. So how should that be addressed?
I believe that most production facilities today, particularly those that are into the processing of hydrocarbons, are putting in place more environmentally sustainable mechanisms and measures to mitigate against what generally is associated with dirty energy sources, such as hydrocarbons. So blending is not the reason. It is simply associated with dirty energy sources like hydrocarbons. And you see, the world is trying to cut back on emissions and roll back hydrocarbon energy production. So it is a whole gamut that has to do with hydrocarbon as a source of energy and not blending as a process of producing energy products like PMS.
You know, some energy analysts who have appeared on our other programs here on TVC have called for a broader diversification of Nigeria's oil and gas downstream sector to foster competition and reduce monopolistic tendencies by some players. Do you share the same sentiment? And if you do, what more can be done to explore the boundless opportunities in the sector?
I think the deregulation is going on fine. Yes, some of us may have observations about deregulation as a concept, but that which the government believes in, it is doing and it is driving it successfully. The downstream has been successfully deregulated. We now have private refineries running. We have government-owned refineries coming on stream, and we also have importers, traders being allowed to import products. So with this, you're going to have competition, hence fair pricing. Because in a deregulated environment where you don't have energy price cap, no subsidies, no price intervention by government, the only safeguard for consumers like you and I will be competition towards fair pricing. And only competition can ensure fair pricing. So far so good. I think the process of deregulation is going on smoothly. We're in a transition phase, and I think we are doing well. Competition is already setting in. We are seeing prices of products and services varying according to different vendors. You've seen refineries advertising their prices, all over the country. You've seen competition really going on, which is driving down prices a little bit to the benefit of consumers like us. So I think it is going on fine. Right now, the shackles of monopoly have been broken completely because competition is allowed. Private refineries are operating, government refineries are operating. So I think it's a perfect market competitive environment in the downstream sector as we speak.
Let's talk about pricing for the next few seconds as we wrap up tonight, because IPMAN says it would not buy from the Port Harcourt refinery if NNPC sells the fuel at an expensive rate. And interestingly, you've been an advocate of an alternative to petrol. I've heard you say the energy products that we're utilizing today must have availability components to it, accessibility as well as affordability. And you've also maintained that affordability entails government intervention in pricing, as is done all over the world. Please expatiate on that, because if you're juxtaposing that point with a statement made by the Minister of Finance, Mr. Wale Edun, a few weeks ago, he had said that the administration's groundbreaking steps to sell crude in Naira would not be reversed. He said the federal government would not be involved in determining the rate of exchange for the oil sector. But some of you have said it's crucial for government to intervene. Maybe not determine, but its influence must be felt.
Yes, I believe the government has a core responsibility to provide energy security for citizens because it is an integral part of national security. And when we talk about pricing, and what is really of concern to us now is the issue of affordability. Affordability is an important component of energy security. And one way the government can achieve affordability for citizens is through the instrumentality of subsidy payment. I am one of those who have supported all my life the concept of subsidy payment. And I still believe that government is actually in error for removing subsidy from petroleum products because petrol drives the economy of Nigeria. And you've seen the catastrophic effect of unaffordable petrol in Nigeria because for a country of 70,000 naira minimum wage a month, the price of petrol above 1,000 naira is way above the affordability threshold of citizens. And it has impacted negatively on the economy. You can see that Nigerians are struggling with cost of existence crisis, not even cost of living crisis. So I still think that a deregulated environment is not an anathema to price intervention by government. In some of the most advanced countries in the world where you have deregulated environments, such as we are trying to do, government still intervenes. Government is the invisible hand that intervenes to make sure that prices do not rise above the affordability threshold of its citizens. Every government must measure the affordability threshold of its citizens vis-a-vis energy prices, so as not to cause the level of disruption we've seen in the economy as we've seen it now. So I still think the government must find money from whatever source it can find it and pay subsidy to energy producers so that Nigerians can get this product at the pump at a price that is below or at par with the affordability threshold. As we speak right now, the price of energy in Nigeria, particularly PMS, is way above our affordability threshold and is going to sustain the already crumbling socio-economic lot of the Nigerian people. So I'm still very much in support of subsidy returning, even though the environment has been deregulated, because they are not mutually exclusive. In fact, they are mutually inclusive.
Sadly, we have to go, Mr. Dahiru. I mean, it's important. I'm sure we'll have this conversation some other time. Sadly, we had 30 minutes for this conversation tonight, especially because of the different thought processes out there. And it's important for us to always hold on to the fact, and that's why we have experts like you. Thank you so much for joining us tonight, Majid Dahiru, a newspaper columnist and energy security advocate. Thank you so much for your time with us tonight.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much for watching, everyone. That's a package on politics tonight. Please join us again tomorrow. Good night, everyone.